Welcome to the Desert Gridiron Gameplan, an epic coaches show talking all things Arizona high school football. And now, your hosts, James Poovey, Ed Cole, and Parker Gurash. Take it away, gentlemen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to another edition of the Desert Gridiron Game Plan here on the Epic Sports Network. James Poovey coming to you live alongside my broadcast partners, Mr. Ed Cole and Parker Gurash. Guys, another exciting week of Arizona high school football, and we got some exciting games to talk about tonight, including the Notre Dame Prep Saints visiting the Sunny Slope Vikings for our Thursday Night Kickoff game this week on CW7 Arizona. And then in the second half of the show, we'll visit with Brophy and Perry, who are it's going to be a big showdown between those two on Friday night.
Yeah, we always seem to get really good games on Thursday night, don't we? Notre Dame Prep and Sunny Slope, our first trip out there for the home of the Vikings. I'm excited, Park. I'm ready to go out there and get set up. I wish we could do it tonight, but we got to wait a couple more days. But it seems like that happens every week where we're excited about football, but we have to wait a couple more days to do it.
Yeah, I mean, three of the teams we're talking about tonight are undefeated at 3-0. Notre Dame, they've played extremely well. I think a lot of people in our media world had a bit of concern just from a lot of the key players that went on to the next level these last couple of years, but they have seemed to produce well and also have just trained their younger guys to step up in these big moments. So it's going to be a good time. And then for the Brophy and Perry game, I know Perry had a great week last week in their win. And Brophy is just loaded with former pros' sons. So it looks like the second coming of a lot of NFL greats. So it's going to be a good time tonight.
It is going to be a great time. Let's get right to it. Coach George Prelock joining us here on the program, head coach of the Notre Dame Prep Saints, and Cooper Perry, all-star wide receiver, also joining us here tonight. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Coach, we will start with you. 3-0 to start the season off. Parker talked about it a moment ago. Obviously, you lose some seniors and lose a little bit of depth there, but how have you been able to just keep this train rolling over there in North Scottsdale?
Well, first and foremost, we got great coaches over at Notre Dame Prep who really know how to mold these young men. And on top of that, you know, we graduated 15 seniors last year, but we have 22 seniors this year, including Cooper and some of his classmates who have really stepped up in the leadership role. So in terms of leading by example, kind of knowing what our culture is, you know, last year was kind of a disappointing year for us. But, you know, we worked hard in the off season and we've really practiced hard, and it's paid dividends so far at the beginning of the year.
Coach, a great start for you. 3-0. You beat Goldwater 49-0. Desert Edge had a close one there. Won by 6, 20-14. Millennium beat them by 20, 44-24. What are you liking about your football team so far? Obviously, it's great to start off 3-0, and you've scored a lot of points, and your defense has played really well over the 3 games. What are you liking about your football team over the first month as we get ready for Sunny Slope on Thursday?
The fact that we're playing as a team, you know, the boys really play for one another. And when you're playing for the guy next to you, not only does that make it fun, but it makes your team successful. You know, our defense has been playing lights out, and offensively, we've been able to get the ball around. You know, we've rushed for more yards this year than we had in the past. And part of that's because you can't really single out Cooper Perry. And when you do, you know, we try and be opportunistic with the football and try and get the football in his hands and try and be creative on the offensive side of the ball. So I think things have been a nice mix this year, and that's why we're currently 3-0.
Coach, one more for you about kind of the start of your guys' season. Kind of like Ed hit on 3 big wins. I want to talk about that Desert Edge one. There's a lot of hype coming into that Desert Edge team over the summer. Of course, a lot of top recruits over on that side of town too. How much did that win do for your locker room as far as confidence goes heading into the rest of the season, and then another tough matchup with Sunny Slope on Thursday?
Yeah, you know, it was – we talked about it because at the end of last year, that's where our season ended. We played them in the regular season. We lost in a heartbreaker, 35-28. We were up 14-0 at one point and lost the lead, unfortunately, and ultimately ended up losing that game with a chance to win it at the end. And then in the playoffs, we were unfortunately got the injury bug. A lot of guys got injured. Cooper was another one that couldn't play in that game because he was in an unfortunate accident with his brother, but thank God that they were okay. So, you know, it was kind of a low point for all of us, and we knew that we were going to see him again. So we just talked about playing one play at a time, playing for each other, and to get that victory. it was huge for our program. You know, the fact of the matter is, got a little tight there at the end, giving up a 20-0 lead, but you know, we dug deep. They played for one another, and we made a big goal line stop there at the end.
Cooper, how good does it feel to start your senior season off at 3-0? You really have just kind of picked up right where you left off last year. You had 290 all-purpose yards last week in the game against Millennium. You had two kickoff return and a punt return for a touchdown. I'm going through the stat sheet today. I'm looking at the lineup for this Thursday. You're the punter, you're the punt returner, you're the kick returner. How are you able to do all those things and do them really well for the Saints ball club?
Well, you know, this is really my first year returning kicks and doing punts. I wasn't even supposed to do punt return until one of our safeties, Cannon, he was doing punt returns, so he got hurt. So, you know, I stepped up and started doing punt returns too. But yeah, I mean, I love punting the ball because I also have the option to run it on fourth downs. But you know, I've been punting since I was in youth football. So, I mean, coming in as a freshman, doing that stuff, I mean, I've always done that my whole life.
Cooper, yeah, a wide receiver, punter, kickoff returner, punt returner. I'm sure these practices are really busy for you. How do you focus on what you need to prepare for in practices as far as four different positions? Do you work on all four of them throughout the course of a practice? How does that work out for you?
We go into you know, our special teams unit, and we do punt and we do kick return, punt return. So you know, last year, the last couple of years in my high school career, I've never, you know, done those. I've done punt, but I've never done kick return and punt return. So this year, I'm kind of on the sideline sometimes, and coach is yelling my name, and keep forgetting I'm on punt return and kick return. So I mean, this year has been awesome though. Just finding out different ways to, you know, impact the game. You know, not just catching the ball, but you know, like you said, you know, punting, kick return, and punt return as well.
Cooper, I've of course known you for a bit. You've played against my brother and also with my brother in lacrosse over the past couple of years. How has your off season, as far as playing lacrosse and having to use your speed, how has that helped you in your football career and heading into your senior year? What are you trying to do best in that scenarios?
You know, I think lacrosse has definitely helped me, you know, a lot in my game, you know, especially at the wide receiver position. You know how it is playing midfield and attack, playing offense. You know, you got to beat one guy or a couple guys and go score. You know, that's the same spot at receiver position. Doesn't matter how many people are on you, you still have to make a move and make guys miss and go score points. So I think just having that aspect of lacrosse and, you know, my quick twitch has come from lacrosse as well. All those movements help me and impact my game.
Cooper, talk about your quarterback, Dylan Rardin, and the impact he's had on your game this season. You guys graduated Noah Trigueros, who was really effective there for Notre Dame prep over the past few seasons. But how has Dylan come in and really just fit right into this offense for the Saints?
Yeah, like you said, losing Noah was definitely tough. Having him my last 2 years, building a connection with him, scoring a lot of touchdowns with him, was definitely tough, you know, going into senior year. But that's why Dylan Rardin stepped up. Coach Prelock says it all the time, said it today in practice, you know, being able to be the next guy up and step up when you need to and go prove to everybody, not just your team, that, you know, you're a baller too. Dylan, I mean, me and Dylan are just great friends. We have great chemistry. We've been best friends playing lacrosse since club days, back in youth football and back in youth lacrosse. So I've played with Dylan for a really long time. And when he came into Shap, or when he transferred from Shap to Notre Dame, I knew that our senior year was going to be special. Just working with him in the off season, he wants it so bad, and his lacrosse background helps him a lot too. So I know when he's going to be able to get in the game and he can make plays on his feet too.
Coop, your last couple of seasons, your sophomore and junior season, 150 catches, almost 2,300 yards, 38 touchdowns. What is it about this program and this system at Notre Dame Prep that's allowing you to go nuclear and just go off and have these kind of numbers and make this kind of impact offensively for the Saints?
I think what really helped was Coach Prelock allowing me to be pulled up on varsity as a freshman. Getting that experience super early was key going into my sophomore year, just knowing, because I had varsity playing time as a freshman. I got to see big games and make some plays in big games as a freshman. So going into the sophomore, I wasn't really nervous at all. I did want to prove to everybody, prove the state that I was one of the best as a sophomore. But I think that just really helps me, going back to my freshman year where Coach Prelock allowed me to come in as a freshman and, show my skills and showcase that to the state of Arizona. But, going in my junior year, having those 2 years under my belt, I've just been, blessed to be put in such great positions in the offense and just be able to make a play. And when the ball is thrown to me, hopefully I can make a play and go score.
Cooper, one last question for you. Before you committed to Oregon, you had a really, I think, interesting and broad Final Three in 3 different conferences with OU, ASU, and Oregon, where you eventually committed to. Why was it Oregon for you at the end of the day, and why were the Ducks the best decision and place to be for your collegiate career?
Arizona State was my first offer, and Oregon was my second offer around 4 or 5 days later, something like that. So having those schools be your first 2 offers and them staying in contact with you throughout the whole recruiting process, you get to know them very well over a long period of time. So those 2 schools really stood out to me, especially with Oregon and the relationship I built with Coach Samples at Arizona State. It was really coming down to those 2 schools. And when Coach Samples made the move to Oregon, become the running backs coach, I just felt like it was the best fit for me with all the coaching staff, having my best interest at heart. It was really the best of both worlds for me. Could not worked out in a better way. So that's really what made me pull the trigger, just because I saw the whole coaching staff building relationships from both sides. And when Coach Samples made that move, it just felt whole. So.
Cooper, you talked about Coach and his confidence pulling you into the varsity level as a freshman. Talk to us overall about Coach Prelock and how he's poured into you over these last 4 years and really prepared you, along with the rest of the coaching staff, to play really well and then be prepared for that next level of football at Oregon.
Just like I said, having that opportunity to showcase my talents as a freshman, Coach Prelock trusting me and pulling me up on varsity was one of the best things that could have happened to me in my career. Just understanding the experience and the talent at a young age as a freshman, across the board, playing different schools and stuff like that. You can use that experience that you have really off early and use that right now. So having this my 4th year of varsity experience, and now the game just gets slower every single year, it feels like. And that's because of Coach Prelock allowing me to showcase my talents as a freshman. So that was awesome.
Coach George Prelock and Cooper Perry, star wide receiver for the Notre Dame Prep Saints, joining us here on the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to Thursday night's game out at Sunny Slope, and it should be a great battle in the 5A. Thanks for coming on with us tonight, and we will see you guys on Thursday.
Thanks. Appreciate you having us. We'll see you guys Thursday.
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
We'll be right back with more of the Desert Gridiron Game Plan here on the Epic Sports Network. After the break, we'll visit with the Sunny Slope Vikings head coach Sam Jacobs, and Theo Pike join us after the break. Stay with us. More to come right after this.
Have you had the craving for the best burrito anywhere? Well, you've come to the right place. Welcome to Burrito Express, your local burrito joint. Come on in.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Burrito Express.
With 7 Valley locations and a new South Chandler location opening soon, your new favorite burrito is just right around the corner. Burrito Express, a proud supporter of Thursday Night Kickoff on CW7 Arizona.
Coach Led here from Thunderbird. You're watching the Desert Gridiron Game Plan on Epic Sports Network.
We welcome you back to the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. It was great to visit with the Notre Dame Prep Saints. They have a big game coming up this Thursday night on Thursday Night Kickoff on CW7 Arizona. We're excited to be on the call, and we're now joined by head coach Sam Jacobs and lineman Theo Pike joining us here on the program. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on with us. We appreciate your time. You guys starting off the season pretty good, 2-1 so far, but a big game coming up on Thursday. Coach, we'll start with you. Just give us a brief synopsis of the early portion of the 2024 season.
Well, coming into this season, the schedule's a tough one. We started off with Cactus and then, Apollo and Willow Canyon. Desert Edge next. So the goal for our boys was to kind of get on the right track often and early. We graduated tons of seniors last year. So we're relying on Theo Pike here as one of our returners to kind of lead the way and show the young bucks what it's like to compete at this level.
Coach, it wasn't a good opener for you, losing to Cactus in big fashion, but you bounced back against Apollo and then Willow Canyon, 2 big victories. You scored 90 points. Your defense gave up just 24. What was the reason for the quick turnaround offensively and defensively? Just a week after that loss to Cactus, you come back and beat Apollo by 31. What was the practices like? What were the film sessions like to allow you to flip the script and turn it over in a week?
Well, again, we're real young. I believe we had about 5 or 6 kids return with any varsity experience from last year. We are super senior heavy, and so with those kids graduating, we needed the young kids to kind of understand what it means to play varsity football and to realize the speed. And Cactus was a nice introduction right there. That's a very talented squad. And they took it to us and kind of woke us up a little bit. And the boys responded the last 2 weeks with much better effort and practice, and just understanding that the speed is different and the skill level is different. And so we're excited for this test this week coming up with Notre Dame. Again, they're gonna give us everything we need, and we're gonna have to try to match their talent and effort that they always bring.
Coach, talk about kind of the preparation you guys have gone into for this week. And honestly, like you're talking about, a tough schedule coming up with Desert Edge, Gilbert, Campo, and so forth. But talk about your guys' preparation and if there's any been of a mindset change coming into such a big game like against Notre Dame Prep on Thursday.
So, part of it is it's a short week too. And so having to try to find a way to get those extra reps, get that extra time in that you would typically have in a normal work week. So that's a challenge in and of itself. But then on top of that, you got to prepare for Cooper Perry. And, I just eavesdropping as you guys were talking to him. And we all know he is a talented individual. We've been blessed to play him the last 3 years. You got to be ready for Cooper Perry.
Coach, before we bring Theo Pike, All-Star Center, on here with us, I just wanted to ask you, typically Sunny Slope has basically been known as a basketball school.
We lost James.
Oh,
yep.
Oh, we lost JP. Okay, Coach, let me pick it up. Yeah. I think I can bring Theo in. Are you back, JP?
School.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I'm back. Coach, Can you hear me now?
I got you. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just want to ask you really quick before we bring Theo on. Sunny Slope has typically been known as a basketball school, thanks to the wonderful coaching of Ray Portello over the past number of seasons there for the Vikings. But I feel like you're kind of turning the tide a little bit there and getting people a lot more interested in Sunny Slope football over the past couple of seasons. Can you speak to that?
Well, you know what? I've been lucky. I stepped into a program that was in a very, very healthy situation. Coach Pieri, who was the head coach for about 10 years before I got there, really had it in a healthy, stable situation there. He was always making the playoffs. He was, he kept neighborhood kids in to show up and play for us. And so I've kind of just been able to build off of what the foundation that he laid. And before him, Dallas Hickman was there for a while. And so the foundation at Slope was set. And so as I came in, it was my goal to kind of just, add my little touches to it and see where it goes from there. Again, we do get tons of recognition for our basketball program. And, the goal is to get kind of football on that same level.
Theo, thanks for joining us tonight. This is your third season in the program. Talk about this Sunny Slope Vikings program and what's kept you around for 3 years. What is it about this program that's have you having so much love for this program that you want to keep playing and you want to continue to make an impact offensively and defensively on those front lines?
I would definitely say it's a culture thing. My brother played football. It's been instilled in me. It's a whole thing. Freshman year, didn't know that many people going to Slope, so why not play freshman football? And then it's built from there, great coaches, great everything, It's a great community we have at Slope. It's awesome.
Theo, I was taking a look at your Max Preps account. I don't know if you know this, but it says you're 7'5", and
really?
I got caught off guard immediately I'm like, we got a 7'5" center coming on the show tonight.
Yeah, I knew that wasn't right.
That's weird. I don't know what happened there.
Nonetheless, though, you've been a huge piece, like your coach has been talking about, just being another great piece returning for this season. But how much at that center position in the middle of that O line have you had to step up in your leadership areas for this season specifically?
Definitely this season, I stepped up a lot more, because I was the only returning lineman that played varsity. So I knew all the plays, trying to help the new players. We have a sophomore right guard, Joe Gillespie, big dog, just, trying to help him lead him, because I was that sophomore, and I needed some guidance and some words of wisdom, to help him grow.
Theo, talk about the rest of your offensive line. We know, all of us know that the smartest position on a football team is the center position. There's no doubt about that. And I was pleased to hear when Coach Jacobs decided to bring a lineman on the program here, because we get a lot of skill guys. We get the Cooper Perrys. They're fantastic players, but we all know it starts up front. How do you guys gel together and really make this team go?
It's honestly all really communication. This was a new year for us because we had a new coach, Coach Hudnut, coming in. A lot of new techniques. He's really helped me understand the game just a little bit more. And how to block and where to pick up and what to look out for and stuff like that. And the big thing is really just communication. We all just really need to be on the same page. If we're making a mistake, we're making it at 100% effort.
Theo, I want to ask you about your running game. You've got 3 athletes with almost about 200 yards rushing apiece. Your quarterback, Royce Vanacore, Alec Vargas, Caden Yap. You guys are running the ball extremely well. You've got 8 rushing touchdowns. You're averaging over 200 yards rushing a game. How much pride do you take as an offensive line in these kind of numbers and getting your quarterback to run well and your 2 running backs to run well? We'll see these guys on Thursday night, but you're road graders and you guys are running the ball really well. Talk about your offensive line and how much pride that you take in running the football.
Well, we all take a lot of pride into it, Coach second half, when we were playing good, he really wants us just to run the ball, run the clock out. So it starts with us, we need to start the tone. We set the tone. It just takes a lot. It hits a little bit, because we do really start everything. And, I'm sorry. Could you say the question one more time? I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, my question?
Yeah, could you say the question again? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, just your offense, just allowing your running game to be as good as it is, over 200 yards a game, 8 rushing touchdowns. You guys are running the ball at an extremely high clip. Just the pride the offensive line takes in blocking, allowing your quarterback and your 2 running backs to be as effective as they are.
Yes, sir. So that was kind of one of our goals. We wanted 250 yards every game, no sacks, and we hit the goal last game except for the sack. We had 2 sacks, but we take a lot of pride into that because we want Coach Jacobs to trust us in running the ball. And, we have some fast linemen, we have some big boys, and we just want to have our running backs a field day,
Coach, we know you guys are excited for this Thursday night football game coming up in 2 days against the Notre Dame Prep Saints. What would a win in front of the home crowd, improving to 3-1 on the season, really jumpstart this season for the Vikings, mean for your club heading into what we've already talked about a little bit earlier, which is kind of a tough stretch coming up here in the middle portion of the season?
It'd be huge. This is a great measuring stick, right? Notre Dame is a premier program in 5A, and in the state, and they're year in and year out, they're really, really, really strong. And so if we can get us to a spot to where we are competing with those guys, competing with the upper echelon of the 5A, that'd be huge. That'd be a lot, go into a lot of confidence for these young boys and kind of where they're at and in their development as a team and as individual players, and it'd be huge.
Coach, you're talking about how you've lost a handful of seniors last year. Luke Moga, of course, is one of the ones that's kind of turned into a Sunny Slope legend after last season. Who has kind of stepped up in those roles? It could either be on offense or defense, but who are some players that have really stood out and been a really consistent player on the field in these first 3 games?
Yeah, Matt Kump has definitely become our go-to offensive weapon. He plays wide receiver slot for us and has really been a good safety blanket for my sophomore quarterback. Right, we have a sophomore quarterback, Roy, starting this year, and there's been a couple of times where he's just thrown it up to Mac, and Mac's made him look good, and so that is always nice to have. He had a great season last year as well, but he has definitely stepped it up a notch as well. And then like you said, we're running the ball, and so we have a kind of a two-headed monster there in the back with Vargas and Yap, and one gets tired, you put the other one in, and they're both, neither one of them has kind of that elite speed, but they're just hard grinder running backs, and will hit the hole hard. And with the linemen like Theo paving the wave up front, we've been pretty successful running the ball this year. And then defensively, I've been pretty pleased with our secondary. And then it's 4 new starters back there, and they're doing a good job, kind of limiting mistakes and keeping everything in front of them. They're real smart. They're all young, but real smart, and have done a really, really great job. And then lastly, probably Isaiah Ward is kind of our beast on defense. He's our defensive end, super athletic, just a great motor, and gets after it.
Coach, last one and we'll let you go. We want to have you talk about Lucas Goldstein, your kicker and punter. Kids kicking the ball extremely well, almost like 37 yards per punt. Talk about the field position game when it comes to Notre Dame prep and Sunny Slope, and how important that's going to be to win that field position battle with your kicker and your punter when it's time for him to do work.
Make them go the whole distance of the field as much as humanly possible. Because we know they can. They can fast and often, and so you got to make them work for everything that they got. So field position is going to be huge for us, and specifically, we don't want Cooper Perry to touch the ball. So hopefully, we'll keep it away from him where he doesn't get that opportunity to make big plays on special teams.
Head coach Sam Jacobs and Theo Pike joining us here from the Sunny Slope Vikings. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure visiting with you and getting to know you a little bit better. We're looking forward to the game as we'll be out there at Sunny Slope on Thursday night for Thursday Night Kickoff on CW7 Arizona. Thank you for having us, and we will check in with you guys again in a little less than 48 hours from now.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Stay with us here. More
Appreciate
Desert Gridiron Game Plan coming your way next. We will visit with head coach Jason Jewell and wide receiver Christian Camarada from the Brophy Broncos when we return. Stay with us. More up next right here on the Epic Sports Network.
Coach Led here from Thunderbird. You're watching the Desert Gridiron Gameplan on Epic Sports Network.
We welcome you back to the Desert Gridiron Game Plan here on the Epic Sports Network. James Poovey coming to you live alongside my broadcast partners, Mr. Ed Cole and Parker Gurash. Guys, it's been a great first half of the show, getting to talk about that Thursday night kickoff game coming up this Thursday night on CW7 Arizona. It'll be the Notre Dame Prep Saints and the Sunny Slope Vikings. I'm excited for that one. But another big matchup coming up this week on Friday night as the Perry Pumas and Coach Joe Ortiz will host the Brophy Broncos, who are off to a blazing start this season. We're now pleased to be joined by head coach Jason Jewell and Christian Camarada joining us here, wide receiver extraordinaire for the Broncos. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you coming on here with us. And Christian, just tell us a little bit about the first part of the season for the Broncos and how things are going over there off of 7th Street.
Yeah, so the first part of the season's been going great. It's been the first time we've been 3-0 since I've been on varsity. Our offense is doing well. Our defense has been doing great as well. Shut out Regis. That was a big game. We had a huge win against Centennial last week. A great, well-coached team with a lot of great players. Williams Field, it was great to win against them. We had lost to them in years prior, and we're very optimistic heading into this next stretch of the season.
Christian, let's go ahead and jump right into Perry. 2-3-0 teams. You guys are going to go out there and take on those Pumas in their home place. What do you see on them when you're watching film and you're getting prepared? When you look at their defense, Perry's defense, what do you see? Because they're really tough. That's an outstanding football team. But what's going to be some of the keys to victory on Friday night against Perry?
So they're a very physical team. They have good linebackers. I think a key to success would be running the ball well. We've been doing that pretty well throughout the season. We have 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs that run the ball pretty well. And when they do stop the run, we have the tools and the receivers to throw the ball. We have 4 receivers that have Division I offers. We have 2 Division I quarterbacks. They can both throw the ball. They can both run the ball. We have a lot of weapons. And I think that part of what makes our offense good is that we have the tools to stretch the ball horizontally and vertically, and we have the tools to pound the ball down the middle too.
Christian, one last question for you. You kind of hit on it. A big win against Centennial. Of course, they are a open title contender, a 6A powerhouse. 20-14 that score. Of course, it seemed like it was a very gridiron heavy, run the ball game. But how much did that mean? How much did that win mean to you guys, and how much did that boost the confidence in the locker room?
I mean, it boosted the confidence a lot. We went into the game. We knew that we had the tools to win, but coming out of that game victorious kind of showed that we have what it takes to go to the Open and to win the state. And beating a team of that caliber is just proof that we can do it.
Coach Jason Jewell joining us here on the program as well. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time out. You have built quite a squad over there at Brophy High School. Tell us how you guys are going to be able to get over the hump this Friday night against the Perry Pumas. Probably one of the best games in the state of Arizona this coming Friday night.
Man, we gotta slow down their offense. We got a quarterback's playing. He's a good player. He's only a sophomore, Snyder, and then they have a receiver, number 8, LJ Walker, that's put up a bunch of yards. I think he has 414 yards receiving or something crazy like that in 3 games, and that's their dude. And he's also a dynamic returner. Obviously, we got to keep their offense off the field. That's going to be the deal. And we're going to try to keep doing what we've been doing. Run the football. You win games that way. You win in the trenches. I think we're built to win that way. Our kids have done a fantastic job in the weight room, and see what we can do in the trenches.
Coach, you guys are running at an extremely really good clip, 238 yards per game. But talk about your quarterback, Rylan Umphrey. He's playing lights out too, 300, almost 400 yards passing, 7 touchdowns. He's running the ball well, 150 yards on the ground. What are you seeing from QB1 as he gets prepared for a huge game against Perry?
Yeah, Rylan stepped in and that first Williamsville game and played fantastic. Say the same. He's played really well. But actually, we played 2 quarterbacks. We played Ryland, and Case Vandenbosch has come in and contributed in a huge way in all 3 of our games. He had a big run against Williamsville that set up the game-winning touchdown that Ryland threw to Devin Fitzgerald. And Case came in against Regis and had 3 touchdowns. Then he ended up starting the second half for us last week and was like a big bowling ball running back and took the team on his back and did a really nice job. We only threw 1 pass in the second half. It's completion to Dalen Sharper, but with our offensive line, that's how we're built, and so we feel like we have two QB1s, and both really talented players that are going to be college level players as well.
Coach, one thing I noticed when I was taking a look at your roster, of course, you have a handful of seniors, but a lot of also the other players that are making big impacts on both sides of the ball are sophomores and juniors. So these guys are going to be together for another year, possibly two. How much has the younger guys stepped up in these big roles? You talked about Devin Fitzgerald, Dalen Sharper, and there's been a multitude of others, but how much have the younger guys stepped up on the roster to take over these like big positions in big games?
Yeah, Devin and Dalen have made fantastic plays for us in the first three, but those guys have been taught and led by seniors like Christian Camerata that's on this call right now, and Nathan Benzie, Nassim Isaac, our tight end. Like those are leaders of that locker room, of that group. And while we do have some talented kids in that 26 and 27 class, with also Donovan McNabb Jr. and Ryder Noche, spot plays for us too on offense. Like I feel like we have the best, receiver room, in the state.
Coach, you've got a number of stars on your roster, and a lot of those kids, former sons of former NFL players. How are you able to manage all this talent and really, at the same time, keep these guys grounded and focused on the task at hand to try to go out here and win a state championship for the Brophy Broncos?
Right. I mean, that's a good problem to have, right? You have a bunch of dudes that are super talented, right? That I don't think anybody else, is. Again, I think we have the most talented receiver room in the state, and the most talented offensive line group in the state. It's like it's taken a while. This is year 6 for our staff, coaching, but I think it was built right. It was built from the ground up. That started in the weight room with guys like Christian that really they don't miss a day. And I would encourage you guys, any of you guys, to come down into our weight room and see how much juice and how much energy we have down there, and how much fun our kids have, and how strong we are. That's where we're built from.
Christian, doing the dirty work, like turning into an extra lineman when it's time to lay that key block for a running back or one of your wide receiver brothers. Talk about the importance of doing that, especially when it gets close and it gets tight in the game and you need to make a play, and it's not about you, it's about your brother making a play. Talk about that. And again, turning into that extra lineman and just kind of giving up yourself for the benefit of your football team.
Yeah, so Coach Jewell said it best. We threw the ball once in the second half, and to myself and to the rest of the receivers, that doesn't matter as long as we're winning. That's the task at hand. Winning state is the goal. And so if we have to block, we're going to block the best we can. If we have to run routes, we're going to run routes the best we can. But as long as we're winning games, that's more what we're concerned about.
Coach, I got to say, I appreciate you taking it upon yourself to run the ball so many times. I'm a Michigan Wolverine fan, so watching them run the ball 31 times against Penn State reminded me of that. But talk about how also other guys, you said like Christian and other seniors, and stepped up in these leadership ways. How much does that help the younger guys in the locker room gain their confidence to be able to go out in the 3-0 start that you guys have?
First, I was a former offensive lineman. I played left tackle, so I want to run that rock, and I feel like you win football games that way. But something that we started a couple years ago was like just a senior leadership council to try to help the kids develop the leadership roles that they have. And kids aren't, especially today, I think it's harder. It's hard to lead. Peer leadership is hard. And these kids, no one was born a leader, like they need to be taught. And that's up to me. And it took me, I was an assistant coach for, 19 years before I got a chance to be a head coach. So I learned, from good leaders. Kelly Upley and Mickey Bell were two of my mentors at Agua Fria and at Glendale Community College, and learning from those guys, both positive and negative. Some of the things I don't always agree with, but I had to learn. So I have to teach these kids how to learn, how to lead, and they've done a great job. And it's not like you don't have to yell at people. You don't have to go outside of your character to lead. You have to stay inside your character. Because kids know when it's fake, and that's what I tell these guys. So like just doing simple things like all these guys, they organize team dinners on Thursday nights with their position groups, and they all have group chats together, and they play video games online together, and they hang out together all the time. I think that's something that is different from the teams that we've had in the past, where our kids are extremely close and they're friends and they care about each other. And I think that matters the most.
Coach, shout out, first of all, to Coach Kelly Epley, one of the best to ever do it here in the state of Arizona. With you guys' propensity to run the football, which I also love, I'm all about power football, how do you think that has taken the pressure off of your quarterbacks and kind of maybe allowed them to play a little bit more free?
Well, if we run the football well, it's going to open up stuff in the passing game. It's going to open up play action. And also our offensive line is big and talented, and we can protect the quarterback when we do need to drop back and throw it. So like, do I want to go into a game and only throw one pass in the second half? No, but we want to be balanced ideally, but we're going to do whatever it takes to win. And so we felt like in the second half against Centennial, we only needed to throw one pass. The run was working. So keep doing it until you get stopped. And that's what we did. It was successful. So are we going to go into this Perry game, going to throw one pass in the second half? I seriously doubt it. We're going to need to score some points. But it all starts with those boys up front, and we're big and strong and talented and mean up front. And I couldn't ask for anything better. We are starting, five senior offensive linemen right now, and 3 of those kids have Division I offers. So again, we're big and talented up front. We got to continue to play like we can, and we're averaging whatever. Ed, what'd you say? We had like 215 yards a game. That's yeah, it's even better. So you got to like that. If we can keep that up, we'll be all right.
Yes, sir. Back to the running game. When it comes to time of possession and controlling the flow and dominating the flow and dictating the flow to Perry, that I would imagine that running game would have a lot to do with that, wouldn't it, Coach?
Absolutely. Again, it's tough for them to score points if they don't have the football. So we need to control the clock, which we've been able to do that in the other 3 games as well. So if we can do that again on Friday and limit their possessions and limit their touches, I think we'll be all right. You're always in a football game that way. If you can run the football well and you don't turn the ball over and you play sound on defense, you're gonna be in the football game.
Coach, one more for you, and Christian, honestly, this could be for you too. But Coach, you talked about how this is kind of taking you guys a couple of years to really build up until the point you were at. How much has the school's backing and the investment, either like the head of the school or just the athletic department, has made investing in not just football, but other sports in the school? How much has that helped you guys and maybe even your coaching staff in the confidence and security of your guys' jobs to be able to go out and perform the way you guys have?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give a shout out to, our president, Bob Ryan, and our athletic director, Josh Garcia. He's invested in football, and they realize that well, I'm a basketball, baseball fan. I threw the shot put in college as well. Like, so I'm a fan of multi-sport athletes, but they know that football is the flagship of every high school. And for a long time, it was just me and Coach Dank, our strength coach, doing a lot of stuff. Coach Ramsey was doing our special teams, and he's now coaching freshmen. So for a while, it was just me on campus and Coach Dank. And we ended up hiring Kyle Vandenbosch, and he helps in the weight room. He's our special teams coordinator now. And then, we hired Tony Cotton. He's our new offense coordinator, and we hired him on campus. So I think that investment from the school is huge. And it showed, it's paid off. So now we have 2 extra set of eyes down in the weight room all the time with all of our kids to help them with technique, to help grow those relationships, and to help push our kids. And so we're as strong as we've ever been. We measure, our kids know, and Christian knows that our standard of strength is a 225 power clean. And this year we had 45 kids out of our 70 on varsity power clean 225. So extremely proud of the work that our kids have put in the weight room.
Coach, congratulations on the success over there as a head coach of the Brophy Broncos. We appreciate your time here tonight, and we're looking forward to that game on Friday night as you guys go out to Gilbert and battle those Perry Pumas. Thanks again for joining us here tonight, and we'll catch up with you again very soon.
Thank you, guys. Christian, make sure you go to bed. Guys, we get there real early.
Thank you, guys.
We started practice at 5 a.m. Brophy Standard Time. So, Ed, you'll still be getting your
3:30 a.m. wake up.
Coach Jewell is a perfect example of a coach always coaching right there. We can't get enough of it, Coach. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. Christian, thank you as well for coming on with us, and we wish you success on Friday night as well.
Thank you, guys.
Stay
Thank
with
you,
us
guys.
when we return here on the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. We will visit with those aforementioned Perry Pumas right after the break.
Have you had the craving for the best burrito anywhere? Well, you've come to the right place. Welcome to Burrito Express, your local burrito joint. Come on in.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Burrito Express.
With 7 Valley locations and a new South Chandler location opening soon, your new favorite burrito is just right around the corner. Burrito Express, a proud supporter of Thursday Night Kickoff on CW7 Arizona.
We welcome you back to the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. James Poovey alongside my broadcast partners Ed Cole and Parker Gurash. Gentlemen, one more segment, and a segment we're definitely looking forward to as we bring on head coach Joe Ortiz and quarterback Cale Snyder from the Perry Pumas. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We always appreciate you coming on here with us on the Epic Sports Network. Coach Ortiz, we'll start with you. Just give us a breakdown of the season so far, and you guys are off and running out there in Gilbert this year.
Yeah, we started the season strong, played a good Desert Ridge team and handled them pretty well. Then we went to California, and that was a long trip, going to play Granite Hills, #1 team in San Diego, and we were able to get it done in 39-21. They scored late, but we're a very physical team, and we were able to show that, we could beat the best team in San Diego. So we had a lot of confidence going into that. We had a short week because we played on a Saturday going into Queen Creek, and we held our own. It was 0-0 at halftime. We were able to score 21 points, figure it out, and win a very physical game with a very well coached and disciplined Queen Creek team. So we're feeling good right now. We know the challenge we have ahead with Brophy and the rest of the Premier region and Williamsville coming up, and we know what we have to do. We're just excited for the challenge, and this is why me and the staff came to Perry for games like this.
Coach, we know Brophy has a strong running attack. We just talked to Coach Jewell about it, almost 240 yards a game. Those guys get it done on the ground. How are you going to be able to counteract that running attack, especially from your front seven, and try to slow down that running game?
I don't think you can stop it. I think you can slow it down, like you just said. They're huge up front. They got really good linemen. They got good running backs. They got good quarterbacks that can run. But we like our defense. So we like what we have up front. We like how we can be stout and, stop the run. Last week, Tate Reynolds, Clemson commit quarterback, ran over 100 yards a game. We held him to 19 rushing. So we're excited for the challenge. They're super well coached over there at Brophy, and we're practicing, day in and day out right now to get ready for this game. And, we say we're in the SEC of Arizona, and week in and week out, you're playing your best game of the year and, your hardest game of the year. And that's this week against the Brophy Broncos.
Coach, you might be right on with the SEC of Arizona with that region you're in, but I want to talk about your guys' offense. And of course, Cale, this could be for Cale too in a little bit, but he's been off to a hot start as a sophomore quarterback. And then you have LJ Walker as well, who's been one of the top receivers in the state. How have you got your offense to adapt to maybe a different style from what you had last year? And what's been kind of the differences you've used in your offensive schemes for this year in the 3-0 start you're on?
Yeah, our offensive scheme hasn't really changed a whole lot. We still do what I've done since 2010. And, Cale coming in kind of, with the surprise of Diesel moving to California and for family reasons. And, him coming in, taking over the offense, is doing a great job. He's very athletic. I think he's well beyond his years as a sophomore quarterback. He's very mature. We put a lot on his shoulders with making checks at the line and changing plays if he needs to, if he sees something. We're very excited. Sky's the limit this year. Sky's the limit moving forward as a program. And, we have a really, really good receiving core. I would put our receiving core against the best in the state. We have 5 really good receivers and 3 running backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield. So, at any given time, LJ's kind of been the guy right now, but anytime it can be Moon, Graco, Amos, Max, Talon, Nate, Maddox, Ford. We just have guys all over the place, and we're, I think we bank ourselves on spreading the ball around.
Cale, thank you for joining us here tonight. Question for you. How have you been able to settle into that quarterback role there, being the QB1 since the departure of Diesel Taylor to California, and since that time where you knew, okay, I'm going to be the guy, I'm going to have to step in here and fill those shoes? I think you've done a great job of that. You did some great things over the summer as well. You just continue to compete over and over again. And just tell us how you're settling in there to that QB1 role at Perry High School.
I think during the summer, kind of like putting myself behind Diesel and like trying to like follow his path basically. Watching him like really helped me a lot. And I've been around some pretty competitive football in my past, so I don't know. I feel pretty comfortable on varsity.
Kale, coach mentioned all the talent that you have to throw to or hand the ball off to. That's got to feel good as QB1, knowing you've got all these guys that you can rely on. When you step back there in the pocket, you've got guys you can throw the football to. I'm looking at all the max preps. There's 1,000 guys on your team that have catches. There's 2 running backs you've got that's got over 100 yards rushing. So it seems like an embarrassment of riches offensively. What does that do for you as a quarterback, knowing you've got all these guys that could just bust it off at any moment?
Oh yeah, for sure. Everybody on the offense has my back, and I have everybody on the offense's back, and we really just play for each other. But yeah, I have put all my trust in my guys, and they've put their trust in me, even though I'm a young sophomore quarterback. But yeah, our offense gels pretty good together.
Kale, you're definitely not the most average height-wise and size-wise sophomore standing at 6'3", 210. Is there anybody you try to you watch a lot of film on, try to emulate your game off of, standing at that 6'3", 210, being able to move around outside of the pocket and sling it downfield?
Oh yeah. I would say I really like to watch like Josh Allen. I like Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. But yeah, just like kind of those bigger quarterbacks that can move and still throw the ball.
Kale, talk to us about your offensive line. We know those guys play a huge role in the success of the offense there at Perry. How have they been able to help you develop as a quarterback and then give you that kind of sense of security that, hey, you know what, these guys are going to do their best to protect me, and I just got to go out and execute the game plan that Coach Ortiz has put in front of us?
Yeah. So my dad is the O-line coach, and he plays a big role in how our line like goes into the game and how our line plays. But yeah, it's pretty cool to have my dad as my line coach. Helps out a lot.
Kale, when you watch back film on yourself, how critical are you of what you see, and are you nitpicky about what you're looking for from week to week and things that you can improve on, like whatever you watch this week to get ready for Perry? How much are you kind of really minimizing and being kind of a micromanager of your play?
When I started to get down on myself, I kind of like watch my highlights and like see what I did good and see what I'm capable of to like kind of bring myself back to be like I'm comfortable or like I'm good enough to play at a varsity level. But yeah, I feel like just watching my own highlights really like helps me calm down.
Coach, for you, of course, you hit on it. Really great start for you guys, a 40-7 win, 39-21, then 21-12 against Queen Creek last week. With Brophy coming up this week, and then of course you got Hamilton, Chandler, and Basha coming in the next handful of weeks. How much would another win against a top opponent in the state help you guys out with the confidence just in the locker room and also with the coaching staff?
It'd be good for the program. Our confidence right now is pretty high, regardless of what happens on Friday night. They're a really good team over there. You know, our goal this year is to make the Open and make a run at that, and I think we have the players to do so. We're excited for the challenge on Friday, but we also know that there's still a gauntlet of Castile, Chandler, Basha, Hamilton, and Williamsfield in the back half. So we know that this game is just going to prepare us for the stretch run. I think regardless of win or lose on Friday night, we are still in a good shape to make the Open. We just have to take care of business. But you know, we're not looking forward right now. We're looking at the Brophy Broncos on this Friday night. You know, one of the biggest games in the state, if not the biggest game in the state. So the kids deserve that because of the hard work they put in building this program up, building our culture of relentless and scrappy, and getting to the point where now, you know, Perry is playing in a top 2 or 3 game in the whole state of Arizona. So we're excited for the challenge, and wherever this goes on Friday, I think it's just going to make us a better team moving forward to the Premier Region and the playoffs.
Coach, back to your defense. You've got guys that just make plays. They tackle, they get sacks, they get interceptions. The pressure comes from everywhere. Is that a balance of good, solid coaching on the part of you and your coaching staff? And is that also the abilities of these young men to go after the quarterbacks and just make plays? Is it a balance of both of those? What would you say is kind of the keys, like the recipe for your success on defense?
It's all coaching all the time, right? It's not.
Of course.
No, joking. We have really good kids. We the strength program has been amazing. We've gone up in all our maxes, and the kids have bought into what we're doing. Coach Claire, Coach French, Coach Yarbs, Coach Kimling, and Coach Wade on the defensive staff have done an amazing job with, all their pedigrees of Corona making the open, Perry guys through and through, and then Coach Wade, who was a Division I coach and had some NFL offers, helping out in the back end with the DBs, has been huge for us. And we fly around. Our linebacking core I would put up against anyone in the state. We return 3 out of the 4 linebackers, and Trevor Bodwin and Talon Frazier has stepped up to replace our senior from last year. So we love what we have up front. We returned two guys on the back end, 2 starters, and our D line is all brand new, but they may not be the biggest, but they are super strong, super fast, and super physical. And they've tailored us to doing what we want to do defensively up front with all our different looks and blitzes and stunts. And it's been a very good mix of how our defense is playing right now. And, Perry hasn't always been known for defense. And, we've kind of took that to heart and prided ourselves on the defensive side of the ball right now.
Coach, we've talked a lot tonight about offense and defense, but in the final question for you here, tell us about your special teams unit. A big game like this could very well come down to a point or 2 or maybe even 3 to decide the game. Talk about that unit of the program and how they've been effective this season.
We hold our special teams very highly and very important. We don't call special teams. We call it DTJ, which stands for do the job. And we have one of the best kickers in the state, and Jimmy Dean, who can make 50+ yard field goals, kick it in the end zone every time. He's working on his consistency right now, but we put a lot of time and film and effort. Coach Yarborough, our special teams coordinator, does a great job of scheming and game planning and putting everything together on the special team side of things. We have some really dangerous returners. LJ Walker is returning all Premier Region returner. Him coming back with Max and Talon, with our punt returners, with Max doing punt return as well. We're pretty dangerous, and we've already had 2 blocks on the year on our punts. So we're very excited to see how we can strategize in the chess game that is football with special teams, and try and steal a possession or steal some points in the special teams realm of the game. So we're really excited for that, and we're just super juiced for Friday night.
It is going to be a fantastic game out in Gilbert this Friday night as the Perry Pumas host the Brophy Broncos. Coach Joe Ortiz and Cale Snyder, Perry quarterback, joining us here on the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Get some rest, and we look forward to watching that game on Friday night. It should be a slugfest, no doubt. Thank you for your time, and we'll catch up with you again in the very near future.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Cale. I know this is past your bedtime. You're like 8:45, and I was like, so get some sleep, Cale. We got a 6 a.m. lift tomorrow.
Coach, you'll be there with bells on, no doubt about
it. No doubt. You guys have a good night.
Cale Snyder and Joe Ortiz joining us here from the Perry Pumas. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for your time. We appreciate it. Gentlemen, another nice edition of the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. Some more exciting Arizona high school football this week, and I cannot wait for Thursday when we kick it off on CW7. And that game on Friday night between Perry and Brophy is definitely going to be appointment viewing.
Fellas, how great is that Coach Jewell and Coach Ortiz are like, all right, fellas, you got to go to bed. We did our media obligations. You guys got workouts in the morning. You better go to bed. It's time to hit the rack. I love it.
I'm trying to get in on one of these morning workouts. All these coaches have talked about how everything's happening, and I would love to. So I don't know if Coach Jewell said we're more than welcome to show up, but I need to talk to one of these schools about showing up at one.
You
Good
heard
luck with
Coach
that,
Jewell.
PG.
They get started at 5 a.m. BST. That's Brophy Standard Time, according to Coach Jewell. So you're going to have to set that alarm quite early if you're going to make it out there and get in that stretch line with those Brophy Broncos.
Yeah, PG, you rolling solo on that one, brother. 5 o'clock, I'm still sleeping. I'm good on that.
Oh, man. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, here on the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. A fun show, to say the least. Special thanks to our guests from Sunny Slope, Notre Dame Prep, the Brophy Broncos, and the Perry Pumas joining us here tonight. And we look forward to doing it again next Tuesday night, same time, same channel, right here on the Epic Sports Network on YouTube and CW7 Arizona. We will see you Thursday night. We're on the air at 6:30 p.m. from Sunny Slope as the Vikings host the Notre Dame Prep Saints. Have a great